couple years ago, we had the opening of Hagrid's Magical Long Name. This is an Intamin Blitz that opened at Universal's Islands of Adventure to critical acclaim, with even some going as far as to calling it the most themed coaster in the world. And a couple weeks ago, I finally got a crack at riding it, and let me say, it deserves all the praise it gets and more. If you want to know more about this ride, then go check out the top 25. It places very highly, and I go in depth about the whole ride experience. But today, I'm going to be zooming into just one aspect, and it's probably the most important aspect for this coaster. Theming. Theming on a coaster is something that almost everyone overlooks. To the parks, it's an unnecessary expense, and to be honest, no matter how much you claim you prefer theming than no theming, you really don't care about theming that much. Steel Vengeance has the most broken theme out there, and no one pays attention to that. Skyrush doesn't even have a theme unless it's the sky or something, I guess. And ElToro's theme stops at the bull. Not even the trains are themed anymore. So yeah, people don't really care about theming no matter how much you claim. You love Velocicoaster's Rockworks. Like, don't kid yourself. Come on. You really just like the layout. If you really liked Velocicoaster for its theming, then this wouldn't be your favorite in the park. Hagrid's would be, which brings me to my point of this video. Hagrid's is a masterclass in theming. It combines every element of theming possible into one experience and creates an immersive ride unlike anything else. Today I'm going to be dissecting every aspect of theming this coaster has to offer to show you the power of theming. So what are the different aspects of theming? Well, lucky for you, I've already figured them out. I mean, I am reading a script here. It's kind of my job. Anyways, enough Deadpooling. The 5 elements of theming are ride system, effects and audio, setting, animatronics, and IP. First, let's talk about ride system. This is the most commonly used form of theming, and personally, I think it's really cool. I love how Superman Ultimate Flight is a flying coaster, so you're like flying around like Superman, or how Green Lantern is a stand-up coaster, so you're also flying like him, or like how you fly like a dragon on Tatsu. God damn it, it's all just flying. For Hagrid's, this is a Blitz coaster model, and while at first you might think, hey, that's not themed, you'll also notice that it's a motorbike and a sidecar combination. It's not a normal Blitz train, not even close. Like, imagine being on the motorbike on Maverick Snaps. You would die. Now, something that is not an example of a coaster model theming is Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger. Now, Cliffhanger is in the name. Yes, this is true, but don't you dare tell me that they would have used the name Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger if it was like a B&M Flyer or something. Don't even try and convince me, because that's just simply false. The name is for the sole purpose of a dive coaster, and the theme wouldn't work had this not been a dive coaster. That's like saying those dive coasters in China named Dive Coaster are themed to a dive coaster. See how stupid this sounds? Cliffhanger isn't a good theme that ties into the ride system, it's just laziness. Let's talk about effects and onboard audio. Actually, first let's talk about onboard audio. There's 2 ways to do this. There's the Hagrid's way and the Hulk way. Hagrid uses onboard audio to help tell the story, with Hagrid actually talking to you, guiding you through the forest and explaining what's going on. To be honest, Hagrid's is the only coaster that I know of that does this, but it works really well. It feels more like a dark ride onboard audio than a coaster onboard audio. And then there's the Hulk route, which just has music. This is seen on Hulk with its original score, Rock and Roller Coaster with the Aerosmith blasting in your ear, Ride Rocket with the song you can choose, and I'm sure there's a ton more examples that I'm just not thinking of. But then there's on-ride effects, which is done a lot more often. Surprisingly, Hagrid's doesn't actually use them that much, only some mist effects here and there. But there are a ton of examples you got for this. You got Bizarro's Fire, Hulk's Mist, Manta's Water, Diamondback's Rattle, Superman the Ride's Mist, and so many more. This is by far the easiest way to theme, but I feel like this doesn't actually add that much to the overall theme of the ride, only in certain scenarios. Like, it works with Hagrid's because it's built around this thing, and this is where you go backwards, or with Bizarro because the whole theme is being weird, I guess. So the Fire and the Mist definitely work with that, but something like Hulk, it's just kind of placed in the middle of the ride. Maybe if it's at the top of the tunnel before the zero-G roll, like where you're transforming, I guess, or before you go back into the station, like as a sedative gas or something to de-transform you from the Hulk. I don't really know. It's just being in the middle of the ride doesn't really add anything to the theme, but it is still cool. And there's no problem with that. I just feel like in order to actually call this theming, it's got to tie into the larger narrative. Next, let's talk about the ride setting. Now, this is one of the most important factors, and I don't mean where the coaster is located in the park or if it's over water or whatever. That's a nice touch. It makes a coaster look pretty, but it's not theming. Like, Mako being built over a lake isn't theming it to a shark swimming in the water, because it spends most of its time 150 feet off the ground. The water does, however, play a fact with something like Wavebreaker, the rescue coaster, because you're a rescue boat cruiser thingy surfing around on water. I don't know, it's a weird example. But again, this isn't really what I'm looking for. I'm more talking about the movie set of the coaster, if you will. Like, not so much the lake of Velocicoaster, but the cage in the first half with the rock work and all the other raptors everywhere. everywhere. For Hagrid's, this is the Forbidden Forest with all the trees and rockwork and crumbled ruins and plants everywhere. It's practically a movie set that they just plopped a coaster in. And while I do like this with Hagrid's and Velocicoaster, I really think this is Disney's specialty. I mean, you literally have them building miniature mountains for Expedition Everest and Big Thunder Mountain. I mean, look at Expedition Everest. It's so convincing and such a grand spectacle that it's kind of become an icon for the park. And the same goes for Big Thunder Mountain, except this might be even more intricate. You have the skulls and bones, you have the random cactuses, you have the town that you go through and the tunnels. It all just works really well. This is mostly how Disney does their theming, these cool movie sets that have coasters flying around through them. Even something small as Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has intricate rockwork and plants everywhere. This is where Disney shines, and they prove time and time again. Next we have animatronics, but I'm also going to group this with like physical sets that isn't part of the actual setting. So using Big Thunder Mountain as an example again, you could say the setting here is the town, but the set pieces are the trees, the windmill, and the goat. But I'd say set pieces are really more used lazily by companies like Six Flags that just want to use cardboard looking ass cutouts to fly through. Like come on, man. What the f is this? Are we in the 1950s or something? What? This is so stupid. I would say A for effort, but this isn't really effort. This is just an excuse to say they themed the ride for marketing. But the bigger thing is animatronics, and Hagrid's has plenty of these. You got Fluffy the dog, the unicorn, this beautiful scene, the plants trying to kill you, the flying car. It's all really good, and it's shocking that there are so many animatronics in one ride. But this can also backfire, like in the case of the Disco Yeti, where Animal Kingdom is royally because they can't fix it without compromising the structural integrity of the entire mountain, so they'll have to close the ride for months to demolish the mountain, then fix the Yeti, then rebuild the entire mountain around it, and just so they can move it for a split second on the ride. Good job, Disney. You were stuck with this shit. But hey, at least Seven Dwarfs Mine Train animatronics are fire. Animatronics are a bigger investment, so no one really does these besides Disney and Universal, but it's cool when they show up on a coaster for like 2 seconds before you pass them. The last element of theming is IP, and this is what ties the entire theme together. This is what all of the elements are working towards, to create the theme tied to this IP. There's some original IPs out there for specific rides, but the examples I'm going to be talking about are the ones themed to big IPs. Hagrid's is obviously Harry Potter with the Forbidden Forest setting, motorbike ride system, and magical creatures animatronic. Velocicoaster's Jurassic World with the Raptor paddock in the pre-show with Chris Pratt and this chick. Hulk is Hulk with the transformation tunnel, and all the DC characters are themed to themselves, obviously. And then there are original IPs, like, well, actually, there aren't really a lot of original IPs. Maybe Copperhead Strike, but that's not really like an IP. Okay, so actually this IP section is more about what the theme of the ride actually is. Dragster is themed to, well, a dragster with the stoplights and the revving engines on the launch track, and of course the hydraulic launch ride system. Look, I could sit here all day talking about all the different examples of theming being done well, but I want to eat dinner, so I'm gonna leave off with this. Coaster theming is something that is overlooked by enthusiasts and companies themselves. The companies think it's not worth the investment, and enthusiasts are so focused on forces that we simply do not care. But I care, and I feel like the GP care. The most popular rides in the parks are the themed ones. Hagrid's is by far the most popular ride at Islands. Verbolten is the most popular at BG Dub, and Cheetah Hunt and Cobra's Curse are the most popular at BGT. You could argue Cheetah Hunt isn't super well themed, but it's definitely more themed than like Sheikra or friggin' Scorpion. And obviously Cobra's Curse is very well themed. I just think that we need more themed coasters because it really does add a lot to the ride. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Do you want more themed coasters or less? Do you think companies should focus on theming, or do you think they should just focus on bigger rides? Thank you guys so much for sticking around for the entirety of this video, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.